back in the house once again on Two Podcasts.
On two.
With Dre and Easy. What's going on, Dre?
Fantastic, bro.
I'm not fantastic.
Oh, shit. Yeah, we broke it. In 3 weeks, we broke
I'm
it.
not going to hold you. Well, it's a different world we're
It's a
living in
different
right
world.
now.
It's true. It's true.
It's a different
I'm actually
world.
having fun with this stuff.
Okay, well, it's been a couple days, so I hope you're able to have fun with it until we get out of this. Because it has
I'm
not
prepared.
You're prepared?
I'm prepared.
Oh shit! Well, let's talk about it, man. How are you prepared for this in a way that most people aren't?
It's been my lifestyle anyways. So this ain't nothing new for me.
But okay, so lifestyle in terms of
Chilling in the
what?
crib. This
Oh.
quarantine life ain't bad for me. I just don't gotta go to work. That's all. So it's just a regular day.
Okay, it's a regular day.
Only thing is I can't go to the gym, so now I've been running around the town. That's all.
the only thing that's been disruptive.
The gym, yeah, for real. That's the only thing that's been disruptive.
Okay.
I have the opportunity to work from home, so I work from home when I want to,
Uh-huh.
and I go in the office when I want, and I just go to the gym, and then I go out on my appointments. And if I have to do,
So how are you doing appointments? Are you still having appointments?
yeah, I'm going on appointments.
Okay.
I felt kind of like crazy after I did one this week.
Okay.
I was like, I don't think I should be doing this. And
Why? So were you entering multiple places? Where
Yeah, I
you're
did.
like, all right.
Yeah,
thinking
and I was
about
like,
how sanitary is
yeah,
this place?
that's exactly what it was. And then the client I was with wasn't practicing social distancing. So I was
How
like,
so? But she was handing out hugs.
yeah, and daps and everything. I'm like, yo, fam, come on. So I'm like,
Okay.
Purell,
Yeah.
like, did you not catch what's going
It's-
on right now?
All right. Yeah. So, but I think that just speaks to like how this thing has just escalated. Day
So let's
after
start
day.
there. Let's start
it's
there.
never been like each day is worse than the last
I
day.
know. So let's start from the
And-
beginning,
right?
because this is.
Yeah.
I know we
Well-
talk about how we feeling, but
Well, yeah, but so the 2 weeks ago, it wasn't like this.
from the last time we potted, yeah.
Right. The
It was
last time.
three, yeah.
That's because the last time we linked up,
Yep.
it was
A
dead
different world.
heat. I mean,
Different
it was
world.
totally a different world
Different world.
because the focus was on the Democratic primary.
South Carolina. As a matter of fact,
It
South
was-
Carolina.
Right. It was on South Carolina.
Biden was dead.
Biden was not doing so hot, and James Clyburn
You.
raised him from the dead.
You.
He basically sent out the
Yep, exactly. You.
and like Night King.
Yeah, he Lazarus them. He did the
Everybody
Lazarus.
came up,
Yeah, so yo, I need y'all all to get up.
and then it's kind of been a wrap for
Everybody.
Bernie ever since. And
Which I called.
what did you call it?
That Bernie was gonna get done dirty.
Well, done dirty. People voted. I don't know if it was done dirty
I don't know
business.
about all that.
Done dirty is
I
like
don't
somebody
know about
taking it from, like he getting votes and then them saying, like Trump does the press conferences. He does when he picks on people. He pulls up the.
Never mind.
He goes.
He does.
I can see if somebody did that.
They did that to Bernie though.
No, people
Yeah.
are voting now.
Yeah, but it's kind of
This
weird
is-
because think about it. You gotta think about the thing. Biden was on past life support, or was pulled the plug on him, and all of a sudden, he's like leaps and bounds above, which was wild to me. Because in a span of 2 weeks, he went from not mentioned at all to top 2, and that was kind of crazy.
But they're saying that's because the
Rank and file.
Well, not even rank and file. They were saying of the primaries that were had, they weren't representative of the electorate of the Democratic Party.
It changes from week to week. It seems like the goalposts are getting moved. That's all.
How the goalposts get moved. Black folks virtually hadn't even voted yet.
I'm just saying the goalposts.
They started
are
in
getting moved.
Iowa, went to New
I just-
Hampshire.
Listen, I'm just saying he wasn't nowhere in the earshot distance,
Right. So,
and within a week,
so the question is, if South Carolina had voted first,
that would have been a different story.
then it might have looked
But
like right. So that's why they're saying, well, Iowa's not even relevant anymore because it doesn't represent the Democratic Party as a whole because it isn't inclusive of the people that vote.
I'm cool.
And so
I get what you're saying.
yeah. So
But I'm just
So
about
you
the
can't
overall
say-
camp, like the whole overall primaries, like from just the whole process. After he got spanked around by Kamala, he has
that was a long time ago.
But I'm saying, but he was never top 3 after that.
Right. But
That's all.
he wasn't top 3 because all they were doing was polling white people in Iowa, New Hampshire.
I'm just saying.
Uh-huh.
Prior to our last pod, we thought Biden was out of here. We was going Bloomberg as the dark horse.
I mean, I didn't say he was out because again, we hadn't really been heard yet.
I don't know, but I'm just saying, just based on where we were trajecting,
He wasn't doing good.
He wasn't doing
The
good.
moral of the story, he was not doing good.
He's pretty bad.
He looked like he had lost his fastball. I still think he's a little slow running around the bases, but he's what we have.
He's
And
going to be the ninth.
there was a recent primary, I think, this Tuesday.
It was on Tuesday, Chicago,
Florida, Illinois.
Yeah, I mean Illinois, not Chicago.
And then maybe
I want to say it's Cali. I might be wrong.
I think it might have been California, but I think they announced Washington because it took them so long.
Yeah,
And he
he's
swept.
sweeping. He's
He
sweeping.
swept. But
They just God.
in the backdrop of this COVID stuff, you haven't really heard from either one of them because this thing is taking over.
But
it's taking over.
And I want you to touch on something though, because we texted about it during the time happening. The debate that just had no audience because of this COVID.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
because I know you said you liked it. That was really good.
Yeah, I enjoy that format. The format of no audience, you just have the candidates being asked a question, and then they have to talk about what their platform is, what they believe in, without being swayed by smirks in the crowd or responses in the way that the crowd responds to one candidate's response versus another. Because all of that is going to be dependent on where you're holding the debate.
Correct.
Right? So what may sound good for folks in Iowa might not be the people's problems in South Carolina.
True.
And so I think it allows people, it forces people to listen
to
the candidates.
Well, the candidates also have to change.
Like they don't play those kind of games with trying to like these one-liners.
Correct.
Trying to get.
So the candidates have to change their
crowd.
approach too, because Bernie was very more mild-mannered and very articulate.
And I think
that shows
people
well.
receive him a lot better when he's not screaming all over the place, taking it up to a 10 right off the cuff.
That's why I said when you were texting about it when it was happening, you were for it. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I wasn't upset with it either, but it kind of goes into, like you said, in the backdrop of the Rona. The Rona's kind of changed everybody's way of life, and it happened rather fast.
Yeah, I think, but that also, to me, I think it's an indictment on the way that politics and the news is being presented more as entertainment than substantive information delivery.
Well, we knew that when dumb fuck got elected.
Well, I think, but I think it's important for people to just remember that having audience in debates and having people hiss and sigh and be able to laugh at jokes and all that stuff, it really has nothing to do with whether this person can represent you. You want them representing your interests.
Oh, agreed. But also, even going back to the 2016 election, how the media represents or state keeps a hand out of the electoral process plays a role in that too, because there's a 24-hour news cycle on Trump, and he killed the Republicans because they couldn't get as much airtime as he did. And it wasn't like he was saying anything that was of any substance. It was just build the wall and, who could I talk to? That would give me an ear to hear, because he was must-see TV. So like you said, having that backdrop cleared out the circus or cleared out the entertainment portion and kept it strictly on the questions, the platform, and the candidate's ability.
Yeah, and it also, this going back to just to piggyback off what you said, with people being enamored and sort of intrigued and fascinated with what was Trump, and it shows you how spoiled Americans are because they thought things were bad when they voted for Trump.
Yeah.
Right? He convinced them that
things are horrible.
Things were horrible.
Horrible.
And now you got like 1 million people out of work. Most like his constituents,
but they don't see it like that.
Well,
they think, from the temperature that I've been checking, they feel like he's handling the situation very well. And when we speak on situation, we're in the midst of the curfew / Rona quarantine. So let's talk about that.
So
because that started wasn't even like that was on the breath of everybody's back, but it wasn't where it is now.
No, it wasn't. And so I wonder if people will pay more attention to the things that, I think this actually gives people, or at least reminds them, how government should be working, why it's here, because people often forget why government exists. right? And so if you're thinking about all of the platforms, so if you think about Bernie Sanders' platform, it was about universal health care, it was about free college and all of that stuff, paid family leave, things like Andrew Yang was talking about $1,000
boost the economy, and Trump took that and ran with that too.
I mean, so they're talking about $1,000. I mean, what does $1,000 do for you today?
Well, that's just what it was. It's a stimulus to keep everybody
but
circulation.
Right, but in this moment in time, $1,000 ain't enough.
No,
but
the fact that you took that off of somebody's platform who was using that as a means to engage the economy and boost the economy, everybody laughed him out the room. Meaning Yang, they laughed him out the room, and now that idea doesn't sound so bad, given the backdrop of what everybody's facing now.
Yeah, because and a lot of it has to do with the mayor from Stockton, California, who actually did that.
Mm-hmm.
He actually gave his constituents in Stockton money. They put money in their pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't checked on how that's doing, but
there's no data yet. I mean, that we paid attention to. Why is that? I haven't to pay attention to.
Yeah, it's out there. I have to go and look at it again and just get an update. But do you think that this period of time will force people to be
Americans are stupid?
Will be serious and kind of look at the issues now for the
Americans are stupid.
Meaning what? So does that mean you don't have any faith that this is going to change how they look at federal seats, U.S. seats?
Nope. Okay. Because this will be a moment. Everybody be upset.
A lot of people will be upset, and
more
than ever.
More than ever. But then once things get back to the new normal, they'll forget. Even that's an oxymoron. Get back to the new normal. Yeah.
There's back to the new normal. It's like back to the future.
Because what's gonna happen once everybody's able to get out the house without having to worry about this infection or contagious thing happening, they'll be so happy to be out and enjoying that without having that layer thing over their head, that they'll forget what they went through, or they'll go back and have revisionist history and be like, oh, wasn't that bad?
Well,
and that's the part that I worry about.
Well, the challenge is, are the jobs going to be there?
That's the only thing that'll change that perception is based off what I said since this began, the financial impacts and how that gets handled. If everybody gets to go through and there's no real financial backlash or like you said, unemployment backlash, people will forget, like, oh man, that was crazy. Remember the Rona? Like everybody had to sit in the house for like 2 weeks. Man, that Rona was crazy. Yeah. But if it's like, I don't have a job to go back to, or sales haven't picked back up to start paying my, whatever, and now now the new normal's, by the way, since the Rona, so we've had to make these adjustments.
So that begs the question: what is the duration of time that is a tipping point that goes from something that's forgettable to memorable and changes behavior? Because they're talking about
4 months, 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, like I've seen conferences and meetings get postponed out to like, we're gonna reassess in April, but I'm hearing June, July,
September. I've heard it so far as September.
Well, yeah, and then the second round of the virus, you're gonna start seeing increases in it again, and so I guess my question would be: are people gonna be on the sidelines enough, and are enough small businesses going to go under, and will the jobs that were once there again not going to be there when you come back? Because now you have millions of people that have gotten furloughed, they've gotten laid off, over the past 48 hours. Hell, in Connecticut alone, I think just Thursday, the governor had a conference call. Well, the governor had a conference call, and he was saying 10,000 people had applied for unemployment insurance on Wednesday. On Wednesday, 10,000 people. That's like a couple small towns in the state, right? So, and you're going from having money to having income, and that'll be in some Trump counties, some Trump towns and Trump cities. So the question is now, if they're sitting at home having to watch how these dudes are taking care of, or at least addressing this issue in comparison to what states are having to do on their own, you don't think that's going to be enough for them to say, listen, like, this is nonsense, right? Because you don't think that's going to be enough for them to change their mind on You don't think competence is going to rule the day. Okay.
I have little to no faith in American people, because remember how this whole thing started? People stopped buying Corona because they thought it was the coronavirus.
Yeah. All right. So that right.
So you ask somebody to have, you know, comprehensive thinking of like, okay, how is this being handled? What is my interest in this?
Mm-hmm.
What is the plan?
But
Most
see,
people don't even know the plan.
Right. But you could believe. But see, that, and the thing is, and that just speaks to how quickly this thing has moved,
Mm-hmm.
and how quickly it's evolved. Is that when people were believing this thing was associated with Corona, that was before states were saying quarantine in place,
Correct.
Self-isolate,
Yeah.
shelter
Shut everything
in place,
down. Yeah,
right?
shelter in place.
So now they done smartened up because they've had to.
Mm-hmm.
This is somebody putting their hand on your shoulder. Have a seat.
Yeah, basically.
And now, if you think this is about, still think this is about beer, then you probably have some other issues going on in your head, right?
Well,
this is where it's forcing people to sit down and pay attention because you can't do anything else.
Well, I think the thing, to me, I think the tipping point that may go to what you're talking about for me is if martial law happens. If that happens, then I think that will be the thing that you're talking about. Well, okay, this is a little bit like, now I don't want this big government mandating me into the house, and if I walk on the street I get arrested. Like, people are still moving about as freely as they want. It's just it's the public thing now. Be responsible, and it's your peers telling you to be responsible, without being a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's the government coming in and there's tanks and stuff on the street, and you're being, you know, your town becomes occupied territory,
Yeah.
then I think we're gonna have that kind of backlash.
So that's not going to happen because the virus isn't
Contagious like that.
it isn't that fatal, right? And here's what I mean, right? So, and this is why, and I see where you're going with that, but this is another thing what people need to understand about this, and just to have a comparison,
Mm-hmm.
just for context,
Mm-hmm.
right? The coronavirus, I think the body count is up to like 7,000.
It's like 3%.
It's let's
Like
call
less
it,
than that,
Let's
like-
call it 7,000 globally.
Yeah, like, but it's a 3% mortality rate. Like, it's very low.
Globally, right?
Yeah.
And so, and again, 75% of the people like who contracted it are like, of course, over the age of 60.
Or just have a compromised immune system.
Yeah, and then 80% of them the fatalities are from that demographic. Now, the flu, on the other hand, the common influenza, as we know it, the thing that they tell us to go get a flu shot for every season.
Yep.
That joint took out 300,000 people in years 2018 through 2019. 300,000 people in the U.S.
I get it.
Right. So,
But
so
there's
that's
a drug they could sell you for that.
they can't.
It's a vaccine.
It's a
Flu shot.
Yeah, that helps minimize it when you get it. It doesn't prevent you from getting it.
I'm just saying.
Right. So hold on. What I'm saying is that once you, like, again, so I watched them. Of course, they got all these movies
I
about
know.
pandemics,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And now
Netflix.
the coronavirus.
Thank you, Netflix.
Now the corona. Well, this is on Showtime, but but the moment folks start having blood come out of their eyes because they
Outbreak,
sneeze,
yeah.
right? Then you'll see martial law, and I won't be mad at that. I'll be like, okay, yeah, because I don't need somebody sniffing on me, sneezing
Yeah, or
on
just
me,
even, yeah.
and me having to like a breakout and all this
Yeah.
other stuff. You're basically talking about something close to the common cold, which is at the moment less fatal than the flu that we go through every season. And so I'm struggling with, I'm just struggling with the panic, and it's because of how contagious it is, right? It's just, they say it's 3 times more contagious than the flu.
And I think, but if it's, I don't think we're going to go to martial law, but I also think that people just won't sit still long enough for it just to let it take its course. And I think an overreaction could happen.
So
That's all. My opinion on that would be an overreaction. I would find it feasible that an overreaction would happen because of the people just not being told to follow the self shelter.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Well, I mean, they're saying you could walk around, but it ain't nothing for you to do.
But look at the kids. Look at the kids in Florida who were having spring break, and like, yo, like that's the kind of, you know what I'm saying? That's the kind of behavior that certain demographics have that may cause an overreaction. That's all I'm saying. You have enough people do that, then certain local or bodies of government be like, yo, if y'all don't sit down, we're gonna sit you down, and then that'll be the thing where, you know, big government's bad for you.
Well, that wouldn't be big government. That'd be state.
Whatever it is. What I'm just saying is government, because you know people just, they'll see it as the government's telling me they're taking my guns type thing. Like, you know, they're telling me what to do and I should have my freedom. It's like, dude, they're just asking you to do something just simple. You're getting two weeks in the house to chill. Just take it.
Now, the chill part is gonna be person to person,
because that's gonna be crazy.
If you still have income coming in, then maybe you could chill. But some folks like don't have no check coming next.
Well, that's why I get mad at the federal government for that, because if you're gonna float big banks, as I just showed you today, $1 trillion a day, you should be able to take care of the people, so make sure that nobody's getting evicted, no eviction processes are being started, mortgage payments can be delayed, student loans don't matter, and all utilities should be able to stay on for 90 days, minimum. And it should be no problem. There shouldn't even be a fight on that. And I think people know that. Like, yo, even if you're not getting paid, there's nothing that you have that's going to start making you lose something because you're not getting paid. The most that you're going to have to deal with, which is, you know, I still think there has to be something to be taken care of, is food and stuff like that. But if you know that your shelter, you know that your bills are going to be like delayed and just put on ice for the next 90 days, I think that's the leadership people need to know, because like you said, then that chill makes a difference. Because if I know, okay, student loans is a wrap, they're delaying mortgage payments and they're not taking any rent payments like Italy did, okay, cool. Now those two things, I'm straight. And if they're telling people like, yo, all, you know, debt servicing and your utilities, your Wi-Fi, your cell phone, your lights, all that kind of stuff, all that's on ice because we have to put everybody in the house, then you'd be straight. But if that's up in the air and like you said, left up to capitalistic companies, that creates a different show.
So, what are the impacts of this going to be? Macro, micro. After we come out of this, so whenever that is, because
that makes a difference.
We're only really this is just the beginning.
Week one, and like really, not even really week one.
We're
really beginning of the curve.
It's like 3 business days, because our governor, he just announced it
starting
Friday.
Starting Monday.
Right. Because I remember last Friday he had made the announcements that companies had to close at 8, and it was just like a soft thing.
But non-essential.
But there wasn't really any guidelines behind it. People were like, all right, you're closing at 8 on Friday, but what does that mean really? So our company, like, who's open, right?
No, he said, but in the afternoon he came on and said non-essential. All have to work from home. We said in the mid-afternoon. So that was starting Monday.
And then, let's see, he didn't define non-essential. Because in the government's mind, essential are government employee essentials, right? But if we're talking about manufacturers, if they say all non-essential employees need to stay home, manufacturers say all my factory workers need to come to work then, because they're essential to us moving product.
Well, I thought I saw somewhere he said that essential employees were anybody who's doing or working on contracts that have to do with the government. Because I know my sister works for a company that makes products and stuff like that for the government. She's still has to go. Essential workers, trucker drivers, etc. Hospital employees and first responders, etc.
Grocery stores, right? But everybody else,
liquor stores are essential too,
right? In this particular case, and I don't think anybody has ever thought about grocery stores being essential. Whenever they talk about essential employees coming to work, because it's always been associated with weather.
Correct.
It's always been snowstorm.
Everybody's down.
Essential employees only. Now it's
we need you.
I've heard 25% of the workforce can only be in the office, down to 0. New York just went to 0.
0. Everybody's down. All of y'all. We ain't messing with y'all.
All y'all got to stay home. And so now that shines a light on infrastructure to work from home?
Employers are gonna have a hard time coming out of this telling people they can't. They have to come to work. You're gonna have to create a new normal in your business plan of, can you provide remote access? What is essentially be done in office, and what can be done remotely?
So,
and what are your systems to support that?
So that gets back to my earlier question about, do you think people will pay more attention to the policies that have to do with working conditions, right?
I don't know.
Because now you're talking about, again, people are saying they're going to start thinking about this as negotiation tactics. Because before, where people might have been timid about asking, can I work from home? What is the culture like working in this organization? What's the protocol for a COVID-19 2.0, right? What is the paid family leave like? Because you got a bunch of people at home with their children that aren't used to seeing their children as much.
8 hours, 24 hours the day.
And they're having to not only work, but then also help them with the schoolwork. If by chance they have the school that they're attending has the infrastructure to provide them with iPads and tablets and laptops anyway.
Or just a web-based learning center.
And so now you're thinking about, whereas, and this has been one of the at least discussions and debates, is broadband considered a right, like a utility, right? So right now, people who have internet because they choose to pay for it. And so there's been a debate maybe over the past 5 years if internet should be looked at as a utility like electric and gas now.
Has to be.
And it should be offered as such, and people have the right to have it.
We're in the digital age. I mean, it's almost like not having a cell phone. Everybody has one, and it's a mode of communication. Everything you do, you are literally able to connect to everything in the world from your phone. So, I think this creates a lot of questions that old school people they can't hide from or run from no more. You know what I mean? They can't use that's just the way things are. This is going to create a new societal norm, like we talked about before. And I don't think people. It depends on everybody's ability to latch on to what's progressing, what's happening, and adjust on the fly. And if companies and just people in general can't, there's going to be a lot of people left behind.
Yeah, so I think this is a good opportunity for people to look at how this is affecting them, and then figure out what the candidate of choice that you support.
Before we even get to that, let's just talk about this. This is something that's been on my brain.
Hold on,
because this plays into this.
Oh.
Kind of. Because it does, but this is showing everybody how much you need to have more than one stream of income. What are your hustles?
All right, but before we get to that,
because your candidate, depending on their policies, can either hurt or help this.
But that's right.
That's what I'm saying. That's
but for the people who aren't looking at people who just want to go to work,
that's not an option. Come back. That's not an option.
But it is
after what happened, after what's going on this time. People can't afford to be able to.
You could have said that in 2009 too.
We did say that in 2009,
right? But we still have millions of people out of work because everybody ain't equipped to go entrepreneur.
Not that. It was a difference between the company being closed down and you having to go home because there was no, like, one thing being we ran out of money. The business went bankrupt. And that was because the banks over leveraged. The people who were supposed to be fiduciary responsible for the company were jerks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was a different set of anger, and that had to do with policies and things that were outside people's control. This is like you said, it's a health thing where nobody could have caught that, where you had to sit down not because your company told you to, because the government and the powers that be were like, yo, we have to control a health crisis. And not that your business didn't want to pay you, they're being told by the government, yo, you got to keep your people home. And that affected everything else based off of those decisions.
Right, but I would say the common denominator in that is that either way, whether if it's the company's fault or a virus from overseas came, either way, you're still out there. Like no matter what the reason is, and I'm saying that even in that particular case, you're just gonna have a bunch of people that just don't have their own thing. Like they just have no interest or don't have the capacity to do it, don't have the will or the want to do it. They just want to go into a work, find a steady stream of income, work with somebody, pay them, and come home and enjoy their family, right? So I think those. So we're talking about two different things. We're talking about the person that. So there's a person that aspires to be an entrepreneur and has the.
I don't even think you have to be an entrepreneur, but I think you just have to have, as you said, other money making vehicles. I'm not saying you have to have a business. I'm saying you have to say what's paying you as well, because if this happens again, like we're talking about now, what may you come back to?
But it would be income created off of your own private actions.
Depending, but that could be buying real estate, that could be investing in the stock market, that could be any of those things. I'm not saying it has to be a business.
Yeah.
I'm just saying people have to look at where they're at and going, okay, what am I controlling? Because if the outside factors happen that control my ability to earn money, and I have no control over that, I have to have my hand on something where I can say, okay, you know what? I'm good no matter what else happens out in this crazy world. That's all. And I think the candidate that you are siding with plays a big role in that too.
Right, because to me that's the easiest way right now for people who say that it's hard for me to follow politics because I don't know what they're talking about. They use big words. They kind of use all of these political and bureaucratic words. Now is the time to simplify it and say, listen, my only question for you is, do you support this policy, which has a direct impact on my life, right? So that's what people should be thinking about. So if it's paid family leave, if it's the way unemployment dollars are distributed, if the allocation is too low, given if it hasn't moved with the cost of living, you know, if that index if it hasn't moved with that and all of that stuff, then that's what you need to be. Then that's what you care about, you know. And so, I just think this is a good opportunity for people to just pay attention because you don't have anything else to do right now. You're at home most of the time. And so you have a really good opportunity to pay attention and ask, who is representing my interest?
I hope that people are using this time wisely. It's either pay attention to, like you said, who you're voting for, or look inside yourself and find out what skills you have. Learn something new. Like, this is the perfect time to learn something new about yourself and reconnect with, and as we talked about, reconnecting with just the world. Because everything's slowing down. Like I told you, I saw people walking that I would never see walking before. You know, you can use this as a great motivation to build something and put yourself on a different ground starting out. Whenever we're able to say we're on the other side of this thing. But it's going to take a minute.
You think it's going to change the way we vote?
I don't know. This is a weird cycle
because there's some primaries that have been canceled. Others have not. There's some states that do early voting for a month, like Florida, which always gets me how they're innovative enough to do early voting, but they still can't get right. But they have it. There's other states that have mail-in ballots. So, for one, do you think that there should be a universal system for voting, and
like an online kind of thing?
Whatever it is, do you think the standards should be universal across the board?
Yes.
So there should not be a case where we only get to vote on Tuesday, but everybody else got 3 weeks to vote when they get there. Do you think that's going to change?
It has to. I think a lot of the systems that they realize that they thought were working don't work. And this is the ultimate stress test for everybody's life and business. And what we realized, what we thought was a solvent system, is very easily broken. And we have to make changes. Especially now with the technology that we have, we can make changes. So I think online voting has to be real. Having, like you said, a universal voting day, voting system,
voting month,
whatever. Like,
right, because they were talking
even
about
just the process of just like you talked about, like not having an audience. Like, let me,
debates.
let me just hear my candidates talk without having to be, because now it's no longer the pop. Now it takes it out of the popularity contest. Now I'm hearing the candidates for what they have to actually talk about, and maybe we don't have this president if we had that format in 2016. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and there was no ability to say it.
base.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So I feel like in every aspect of life, because of what's happened, because of the Rona's made everybody stop. If you look at it just from the basic of, now you got to stay at home and cook. Can you cook? Do you know how to grocery shop? Do you know how to, plan accordingly just in case if you need extra that's there? Because people, shooting fair ones over toilet paper, like,
which I still don't understand.
Because humans are stupid. So, like I told you, if we had a real, like you said, blood coming out your eyes, your body starts convulsing,
then you run for the toilet paper.
Man, forget all that. You just better have your guns loaded, because this is gonna go down. What we proved to me in this situation, if something really real was about to happen, if Independence Day came and them ships came and started hovering over cities, we cannibalized ourselves, and we wouldn't have to worry about being put under by any outside force. Within 16 to 24 hours, it'd be over. It'd be over. It'd be a bloodbath. It'd be a bloodbath, because people are just that insane and that unstable that all that Jesus nonsense people talk in that church you go into on Sunday, the minute stuff starts getting cracking out here, people drop all that in a heartbeat and turn into straight savages. And I'm sitting there going, yo, I took my mother to BJ's on Thursday morning.
This past
Thursday morning. And there was Black Friday lines. And I'm sitting there going, yo, fam, what, it's like you said, nobody's dying from dehydration and diarrhea. Nobody's even dead yet. It's just a contagious flu with no real death. Why are we having a line for toilet paper and paper products? You know what I mean? And then the crazy part is, me being the person who eats a little bit more healthier, the veggies and fruits are all stocked.
That's what I was saying. I'm like, why am I seeing everybody's cart packed up with the chips and
I didn't get
Cinnabons
and water's still there. I'm like, water's still here. I can buy my mangoes. I can buy my bananas. I'm buying my apples.
The vitamins are still there.
Everything. So I'm sitting there going, yo, we're
The
screwed.
vitamins were still there, and there was you could get the DayQuil if you wanted it.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to be fighting something that can attack your immune system,
And
but the vitamins are still on the deck, and
the fruit is still there. That's gonna take care of you. And I'm sitting there going, this is the reason why aliens probably ride by our planet and go, nah, I'm cool, because they over there just a little too ghetto. This is just wild.
Yo, but let's talk about that though. And because I thought one thing I think that's going to be a benefit to this people staying home is that they're going to eat better, because we're not going to be eating outside and getting fast food as much. You're going to be forced to cook food, which is going to be better for you.
Well, I think the people who just like eating fast food are going to eat fast food regardless, because they didn't shut down the fast food restaurants.
No, but if you're not at work, then you can't run over there for lunch. Which is what I'm saying. If people that had to go into work, people were spending $75, $80 a week on lunch, right? Whereas now, I think we're getting back to the basics where people are looking at going to the grocery store, thinking about the week, what they're gonna fix for themselves in the home, which is gonna be better for you, and it should be better for your immune system.
Let's understand, those people still grabbing Hungry Meals, because the Hungry Meals were out in the freezer aisle.
Oh,
the Hungry Man meals, the frozen joints. So I mean, does it? So it's not like.
But I do think for the people that eat salads at lunch, those people I'm gonna like, you know.
I mean, so that's me.
Yeah.
So I mean, like somebody like me, this didn't bother me. Like nothing. It made me laugh. Like I legit was in Stop and Shop this morning. I grabbed my jackfruit. I grabbed my fruits. I grabbed my mangoes. I grabbed my lemons. I grabbed my grapefruits, and all that stuff was stocked. It was not like, oh my god, I'm not gonna have none. Watermelon was still there, and I'm going, this is like nature's remedy. Like this takes care of your body. I don't even understand why this is still here.
Yeah.
And then I took 2 steps left, and it was like the juice and candy, like because there's the juice and then the crackers and all that kind of stuff. That aisle, it's like barren land. I'm going,
yeah.
How?
Yeah. And the other piece of this, which looks like it may be advantageous for people who are advocating for us to change the way we do things because of the change in climate, is that, and you've read that there have been changes
in the climate, ecosystem,
in the ecosystem,
yes,
in other places in the world, just as a result of what? Well, that's 72 hours,
still,
a week,
a month, really, for Italy. That but they've been sitting for like a month now, 6 weeks. They've been quarantined.
Yeah, it seems like it's been a while because they were about 2 weeks ahead of us.
So their canals and just their bodies of water that encompass the city have all been self-cleaning, and now swans are floating or swimming in that water. I forgot what the exact area was, but there's a certain area that they took pictures of, like it looked like grayish water that actually is blue now. So the ecosystem is healing itself because we're not there to screw it up. And what they said was it takes, because of the motorboats that are in the water, the taxis, etc., that all populate this area because of the tourism, etc., that's basically shut down. The ecosystem is healing itself. Same thing within China. They said deers are running, and things that they weren't seeing for a while because of the population are now, the vegetation's come back. So it's kind of funny that the virus that's basically taking out the people, which maybe it was necessary, allowed the earth to do what it's supposed to do. And the ecosystem is, balancing itself out, which I know you were a really big proponent of everybody chilling out and just enjoying nature and kind of getting one back with yourself and one with the world, having this time off.
Yeah, I think it's, if folks have to sit down for 2 weeks and you can see like just an undeniable impact on the environment, then that should tell you something. Like that. Now, I don't know what you'd have to do in order to keep that that momentum, for lack of a better phrase, for the environment.
Create another virus.
I mean, I don't want to create another virus.
Don't think the government doesn't have one in the stock. They do.
But but that wouldn't be for. You think that would be for keeping the environment healthy?
Hey, listen, somebody's probably planning a Thanos somewhere.
I don't know that reference.
So Thanos was his motive was to keep the world balanced, so that we didn't do what we're doing and kill the ecosystem. Was to kill half of the world, half of civilization off, to restore balance.
Okay.
But it was indiscriminate, so it wasn't like the poor get killed. It was just half the world has to die, and it just doesn't matter who it is.
So how did you make that decision?
He didn't. That's the whole point. It was just, that was the whole thing on the Stones. Well, you just gotta watch the Avengers.
That's one of those, but I haven't seen any of those. So is that something I'd have to watch from like 5 movies back to get?
You could watch the most recent one and be all right.
Okay.
It's funny because it's one of those, like, if you watch the Joker, like the Batman with what's my guy's name? Heath Ledger.
Was that Dark Knight?
Dark Knight, where the villain makes so much sense, but he's still a villain. But if you like take a step out of the societal norms of bad and evil and bad, evil and good, you're going, he makes a lot of sense. Like this, he's not wrong. It's just society wants to make him wrong because it just makes everybody uncomfortable. That's what Thanos was.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's what I think. Oh, I'm saying like the virus, but even like watching the movie Outbreak, which I finally saw for the first time in my life yesterday.
Yeah, they're forcing it down your throat now.
Yeah, and I watched it. And I was going, we would have a virus that we know about that would control, that would be population control. Because people talk about that population control. That was not far fetched to think that there couldn't be some kind of biological war, weapon to have population control. So I just say that to say that, like, don't think that it can't happen. And maybe when we first realize we're gonna push this earth to the brink of destruction. You know what? We just need to just get rid of everybody, or start Noah's Ark this thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, how are people doing, like, with this whole shelter-in-place thing?
People are horrible with it. I think it's
people going
from
crazy.
what people going crazy.
Mind.
Yeah,
And
it's only like a day, like a day. Some people's like only one day. And for the people that I talk to, it's that thing of I stay home if it's my choice, but you telling me I have to stay home. I don't want to do it. It's like we're all kids, like just big kids.
Yeah.
And it makes you laugh at people. You're going like, yo, fam, there's nothing even to do outside. Like, you really can't literally go out and do anything.
You could.
Well, I mean, like, what your normal, like, you can't go to the movies, you can't go to stores, you can't do those kind of things. So it's like,
so now you actually have to be honest with
yourself,
how cool you really are.
You gotta deal with you. That's why I was like, I was thinking like, man, there's gonna be a lot of people on social media either trying to boost their profile or getting into a lot of ish.
I don't know how you can boost your profile right now more than you've already tried to. You have less at your disposal right now than
we have more people looking now though. So people who probably weren't paying as much attention to social media and interacting, they're doing more scrolling. So there's more interaction because if you don't have enough people in your world, like if you don't, like you and I don't have 4 or 5 people sitting at the house waiting for us.
Yes.
So we can just, all right, TV's getting a little bit boring. I'm tired of watching the coronavirus.
The people with 4 or 5 people are the people on the platforms the most.
It's true too. But I can let you from my perspective that you'll be on your Instagram or Facebook a little bit more, or Snap, whatever your platform of choice is. You'll be on it a little bit more. So what you probably wasn't paying attention to now, you'll be like, oh, let me just see what the temperature is. And next thing you know,
down a rabbit hole.
Down a rabbit hole, and you know how easy that is.
But that's not. I mean, that's not any different than people going down the rabbit hole last week.
But I think when you don't have anything to actually do, like you don't have the work or anything that you would normally do as part of your routine, because everybody's out of their routine now. Yeah. Now you can get into those rabbit holes a little easier.
But you don't think that gets old faster because
it depends on your fascination.
I would think after a while, after probably like 2 days, you're like, yo, this all. After a while, you start like, this is all the same ish.
Oh, but it depends. If you haven't been on it for 3 months, you're like, oh, I can play with it now. This is what everybody was talking about because that's what social media does to you. It sucks you in. So if you haven't been on it, then you're like, oh, this is not that bad, or like, oh, this is stupid. This is what everybody really does. You could have, everybody's interaction is going to be different. If you were somebody like me I'm not frequent on it, but I'm not off of it, you're like, okay, this is way too easy to get caught up in it because now everybody's, like what I'm seeing is people who wouldn't normally be on, or people who were like you, like tap in, tap out, they're on it and they're like, so what's up? And you're like, there's new people in the world, which gives a whole different interaction. So I mean, it depends on how you use the platforms.
All right, so let's pivot towards just consumer behavior, and one of the markets that could be affected, and that's real estate.
Oof.
Right. So I think earlier this week, the Fed cut rates down to 0%. Right.
Correct.
Tell us what that means
for real estate.
For real estate, for the market, how that's going to impact the business moving forward
So for
from
real,
a micro standpoint with the interest rates and as well as just macro overall, what this does to people looking for homes and
has nothing to do with anything if you're looking for a home. All it has to do is consumer guidance and consumer confidence.
So-
It has more to do with lending. So
So cutting rates to zero means nothing if you're going to look for to purchase a house.
absolutely nothing. If you have a house and you had a mortgage interest rate at 4.4%, you better be calling your bank or calling a mortgage broker and getting a refinance, because this is the time for you to lower your payments, and this puts some money back in your pocket. So that the Fed cutting the rate has everything to do with existing homeowners refinancing and getting lower payments. And if you can, maybe pull some equity out and do a 70-30, a 70-30 loan, or 80-20, where you only take 20% out, but you refinance 80. I mean, similar. Like
Yeah, walk us through that. What you mean? Break that down.
So you can do loans where you take home equity lines of credit, where you can borrow against the excess value of the house. So if you bought a house for $100,000, it's worth $150. Say you want to take out, or you want to refinance the house for $130, but you want to take $20,000 out and have it in cash so that you can whatever your business is. Do those kind of loans so that now you have some liquid cash. You also refinance the house at a lower rate so that the payments go down for you, and you can make some moves in the market if you decide to do that. Or if you just want to be a regular consumer to say, hey, listen, my payment's at $800, I want to get it down to $600 because I was at a 4.1%. I can get it at 3 or under right now, because, and especially with the interest rate being cut, do that, because now you're saving $200 a month, $2,400 a year.
Yeah, that makes a difference.
That makes a big difference in your payment. So that is where the market is for what happened with the Fed. As far as a person buying a home, right now it's we don't know, because it's depending on what side you're on. As a buyer, right now it's still a great time to buy homes because the interest rates are historically low again. We're still at 3%, which we weren't at this last time we were at this was about 2016, 2015. Yeah, the end of Obama years. And issue is inventory. People have to get out their houses. And because of what's happening with this contagion, some people don't want to leave the house and don't want people in. And some people don't want to go in people's houses because we don't know how you clean it.
Right.
So that's the hard part. And that's where, like I said, I was showing houses the other day, and I was kind of like, the fuck am I doing? Like,
trying to get this money.
Yeah.
What I'm doing.
I'm trying to do that, but at the same time, you're also going like, damn, like, if I get sick,
Right.
I hurt my earning ability.
Right.
So, like, is this even smart?
Right.
So I'm putting myself right in the lion's mouth, but at the same time, it's my job. So I think that's it's everybody's individual call, but you have to give the people that you're working with the proper guidance of how to do this the right way. Yeah. So what I'm seeing the turn is everybody turning to technology and doing virtual tours. I like it. I'm scared of it too, and I'll be honest, because that's something Zillow was trying to push, and technology's been trying to take the real estate agent out of the buying process anyway. And like a car, you can look at a car online, but how you drive it and how it feels when you get in it matters if you're going to buy it. And you can look at a house online, and you've seen houses online that look great, but you have to go in it and feel it. So I don't think you can replace that. But in the advent of what we're dealing with right now, it's a great alternative than sitting in the house. But at the same time, you want to be able to walk through a house and get the feel for how it feels for you, because this is how it feels on you. You got to buy it. So it's a big purchase for you. So I'm seeing, and a lot of my colleagues are seeing, people turning to virtual tours, virtual open houses, because it's protecting both Joe Public, but also protecting the sellers, because you don't know who's walking in your house. I had a friend on Facebook say he worked at a veterinarian hospital, or veterinarian. That's what their job is, and they did whatever they do servicing somebody's dog, and at the end of servicing this person's dog, they said, "Well, thank you, thanks for helping me out. And I also have coronavirus."
What?
And they were pissed off. So now,
What?
yeah. So now they had to basically shut down
the whole
business.
thing.
Yeah. So
this guy brought
It was a
his
lady.
dog in. This woman brought her dog in.
Mhm.
What was she? What? So was the dog sick? Did she bring the dog in to get treated because the
No
dog
clue.
was suffering? I mean, and then
But
and
that's
then she
the
leaves,
problem.
and she says,
and advises them that she's been in contact with coronavirus. So then at that point, they got to shut down the business. But now you're affecting everybody's money. And you're affecting now future customers who now they can't get anything done because one person's being a jerk. And that's that's why I said the martial law thing could be a thing because of jerks like that where you're going,
she should be fined. Slap her with $1,000.
take your dog from you. Like, how would you do that? Just take your dog from you, put it in the kennel, and let your dog pay the penalties for you being an ass.
Let your dog pay the penalty.
Let your dog pay the penalty. Like, we're gonna euthanize your dog because you're a
Dang,
douche.
man, don't hurt the dog.
What?
The dog ain't the dog's fault.
But then everybody's gonna listen then. You see what I'm saying? That's my point. Like, yo, I'm taking
Man.
your dog and your dog's gonna be euthanized.
The dog probably like, hey man,
I was minding my business. But
like,
hey, but then everybody thinks next time, I don't want to lose my dog because the state's gonna take my dog and kill it because I put the rest of everybody else in population in danger for no reason.
Yeah.
And that's what us as real estate agents, we're people may not tell you what you have to worry. Like, that's the hard part of dealing with the public because nobody's gonna tell you until it's too late or at the most inopportune time. And then what? So now I'm out here, shook your hand, walked into a house, we're in a confined space. Oh, I had been in contact with somebody with coronavirus. Awesome. Great. Thanks. You see what I mean? And so there's some agents who have just been like, I'm opting out. I'm not doing anything. I'm staying home until this is over. And there's been some agents who just been out and like, yo, I'm going to do my social distancing. I'm going to wear a mask, wear some gloves. And I'm like, man, that's still not as comfortable either.
Yeah, it seems awkward.
It's awkward, but, or, the people who've been dealing with their clients and having the 6 feet of space.
Yeah.
And like kind of walking through doing tours like that. I think everybody's trying to find their balance. I really wish people would just kind of chill. If that would be my honest thing for you. If everybody could chill for just a month, and get on the other side of this, you could pick up business and we'd all be all right. Yeah. It's just human nature is a human nature. Yeah. So, and in the service industry, like what I do, you may have to step out there and do some things. It's just your call. But as far as the market is concerned, interest rates are great. They're going to be great for a while because we have to keep the economy pushing, and real estate is one of those key indicators for the GDP of how we're doing health-wise. So it's going to be like that. I think if you have a home and you have a high interest rate or you have a high payment, you better be calling somebody right now to refinance. Because this is the opportune time to do that. And if you can start buying investment properties, start.
But why? Because you don't get the benefit of the low interest of the right because
interest rate is still low. So I'm saying, so
right.
So
but that's not necessarily as a result. You're not saying buy an income property or investment property because of the latest Fed rate cut.
No, I'm saying buy interest property one because of the interest rates being low as a whole. Yeah. So as a buyer, period, buying right now is opportune, so that you can take advantage of a lower rate and which is a lower payment.
Wow. And as you said that, I'm thinking like, yeah, there's probably going to be a lot of people who are looking for extra income and selling off their investment properties because they needed to leverage.
They need to get liquid.
They need working capital for their other
liquid
businesses. So
exactly.
I hadn't even thought about that until you just said it. So there is an opportunity, but again, if I think this is a strange time.
And that's the hard part.
Because everybody is kind of struggling
in a waiting pattern or for like you said furlough pattern. So it depends on where you're at. But if you can take advantage of the market, I think this is a great time to buy that second home. Which is going to produce income for you, or buy that first home where you can get in a very low manageable payment and still be able to, if you can, depending on which situation is, still be able to take advantage of it because you'll be able to get a good deal. I just think that is a great. I think if you're a seller, this is a great time to sell because there's not much competition and people are really holding on to property. But you can also buy at a much lower payment. It's just the harder part for the sellers right now is finding a home that they can either upgrade to or downgrade to, which is everybody has to participate in the market.
Okay. So as we wind this thing down, let's think about just tips for how people are spending their time, how they should spend their time, things to remember if you are a person that has the ability to work from home, right? Using telecommunications more than ever right now. A lot of people are using more telecommunication platforms. What are some of the things you think people should take the time to think about right now, let's say for the next 14 to 28 days?
Tips wear condoms because there's gonna be some.
Oh, come on.
If you don't want to have no Rona babies.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of births December and January.
Yeah, so
like soldiers coming home.
Yeah,
from war.
exactly. So, think about that because while you're confined.
Okay.
Just be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
I think you really should work on either enhancing skills that you already have or learning skills that you didn't necessarily think about before and learning those things so that picking up those interests. I know for somebody like myself, I'm definitely doubling down on skills for myself to get better at and starting to create other avenues of opportunity and income.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, it's you see that you have to have, and we talked about that, multiple streams of income so that you can maneuver depending on whichever way things are going. I think some people do something from reading. Like, I think it's a perfect time to read and get into some books and expand your mind and really just tap into whatever your interests are. Whether that be fictional, whether that be business books, whether that just be whatever, tap into it. Or if you're a writer, write. I saw somebody, one of my friends, she posted, shout out to Steen, she talked about journaling. Like, journaling this time of, like, everything that's happened this year, if you journaled since the beginning of the year, it's a pretty damn good story from your perspective about everything that's been happening. Because we've had a very eventful...
It's been a serious quarter. The first quarter has been wild.
Well, it's been wild. So if you haven't, or if you have, like, your journals are going to be really interesting to go back to as a period of time.
That's pretty cool.
And she wrote that, and I was like, I journal every day anyway, so it's kind of like...
That's interesting.
Huh. And I've been more detailed, like, this is the coronavirus time, so that I can go back and go, the coronavirus happened then, and, like, this is what was going on with me and the coronavirus. So I think that'd be a good story to tell for people in the midst of this happening, because this is unprecedented.
Right.
So, if you do journal, and just create a record.
You write, because you like writing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So creating a record of what's happening in this present time from your voice, I think it would be really interesting for you to even go back and tap into. So I think journaling is definitely key right now. Just where you are, what you're feeling, what's happened.
You have to monitor your progress.
Yeah, monitor your progress, and just even if you're just starting out as a base of here's what happened, here's what started, and then maybe to go back 6 months when we're in August, hopefully we're on the other side of this thing, but to go back and go, from where this began and where I'm at now, you picked up a new habit, and you have something to kind of go back and look at yourself at and go, like, this is crazy. I think if you are, and we talked about this, if you're into stocks, this is you should be. And I'm looking to speak to more people. If you guys know anybody that does stocks and can teach stocks, I want to learn. I want to learn the investment market, because there's millions gonna be made. A lot of people are gonna make a lot of money off of this market, and I want to learn. So and then, if you're in it, keep doing it. And I think it's a good time just to, like you said, just chill, meditate, like start becoming one with things, go out for walks, go out for jogs and enjoy the scenery and kind of just
spend some time with yourself.
Yeah, spend time with yourself. And spend time with people that you really lock in with and tap into, because that you can be more clear headed,
Right.
so that when you're on the other side of this, you have a better objective and directive.
Yeah, you can hit the ground
Mm-hmm.
running on different footing.
Yeah.
You should, if you can, again, if it's not too stressful, because we do understand it could be terribly stressful right now.
Right.
But I just a few tidbits. I would just remind people, just a couple need to knows, just paying attention to some of the legislation that's been passed and some of the policies that have and sort of executive orders that have been passed to help alleviate the pain. If you have federal student loans right now, you can get those. You can get a forbearance for at least 2 to 3 months right now at 0 interest. So you can take either that money that you're spending on student loans monthly and use it to pay down some debt, or stack it and figure out and put it on a rainy day fund, or invest it in something else.
Yes.
So do that. They're working, like you said before, with Italy. I don't know if they're going to mirror the Italy, the Italy model, where they're going to forgive and have a forbearance on the mortgage payments. We'll watch that to see what they do. But if they do, same thing. If you can afford to take that money and pay down some debt,
or just make your foundations right.
Right, just
Because
kind of
your emergency funds,
right, your rainy day funds,
your rainy day funds, where you at?
Yeah, take that,
yeah,
and try to think about investing it in something. If you own a small business, that
I feel for you.
But if you own a small business, the state, I mean, if you're in the state of Connecticut,
correct. Well, I think most states are covering it right now. They're having conversation, I should say.
Yeah. So, but at least I know for certain in Connecticut, if you have some notes out with the state, so let's say Small Business Express program, if you're part of that, they're giving you a forbearance on that stuff for like till like August or June or something like that. Or actually, let me get it right. It's 3 months. It's a 3-month holiday for the Small Business Express program. There's a business emergency hotline out there.
I think it's also a good time for you as a business owner, a small business owner, to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Because and relook at it. Relook at
how you're presenting yourself to the market, making sure that your value proposition is in line with what the market wants.
Your systems.
Everything.
Your systems, your budgets.
It's a good time to reach out to who your suppliers are, potential
renegotiate
prospects,
vendors.
All of that. So it's definitely a good time to do that. Go back to your network. We talked about relationship building in the past. It's a good opportunity to, especially because I'm hearing from people. I think everybody's reaching out to people they haven't spoken to in a long time with all this to see how they're making they're making out. And so you might as well keep the train moving and reach out to some people that you just want to hear how they're doing and what they're thinking about their business looking like on the other side of this. Because it is a lot of everybody's waiting to see what happens out there right now.
It's uncomfortable.
But there are some companies that are still moving. But this is the time when you're supposed to stir the pot, put your ingredients in the pot, and then
check the recipe. And also just check the recipe.
And then when it's time to eat, you can feed the people.
So I got a question for you, and I know we'll make it quick, but we talked a little bit about businesses and the bailouts.
I feel like this won't be quick, but go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. My question to you is, how can businesses put themselves in a better position so that next time, if there isn't, there's going to be a next time. We don't know what it may be, what the interruption is going to be. But put themselves in a position where you may not have to lay off so many people. Your sales may be stronger. Your foundations may be stronger. Your systems may be stronger, so that you will suffer a loss, but it won't be as catastrophic.
I think it's going to be tough because this is one that's affecting. It's not an industry specific.
No, this is everybody.
This is everybody.
It's everybody.
So, I mean,
2008 was everybody too.
But I think to me, so the thing is this: if you have a business, you have to evolve with the times, which is what I don't think a lot of companies do that well. And to evolve with the times means you have to pay attention to younger voices and younger ideas, and that's very uncomfortable for people in senior level positions that are making decisions because they are basing the success of the business based off of what they saw when they were coming up. And so when someone introduces a new, what could be a new asset, then it's hard for companies to see that as a value. They can see that, so you have to be very careful about assessing need to haves versus want to haves, and then in a transformation, understand that you're always going to be in a transformational market, whereas you need to assess whether this want to have is just a shiny object or it will be a need to have in the future as an infrastructure piece, something that helps you do your job, something that is synonymous with the oil in your engine.
So you think like, cause we talked about this, and some companies are early adapters to having a remote ability function from home. They could have been ahead of this curve, or like we talked about using Zoom, how people have been using Zoom. Are you using these tools as part of your arsenal for your business that could have helped you been able to, be on a little bit more grounded foot for something like this?
Yeah, I think it depends on what your service.
Yeah, not every service.
Like what you're delivering.
Yeah.
Like what product and solution you're delivering to the market, and then also how you interact with your clientele. People that the ways that you generate revenue, you need to figure out how are you adding value to them as a company, and then how are you also being able to retain talent that's going to help you be sustainable through these periods of times. Are you being diverse? Are you diversifying your hires to whereas you're having different people coming from different places that can add value in a variety of different ways, and you have to be open to those things. Because I remember, back in probably, so let's call it 10 years ago, when Twitter was first coming on the scene, Instagram was first coming on the scene, and companies were looking at social media posts like Twitter and all that stuff as sort of like, it's kind of like, it has no place, there's no place for it in our business.
Yeah.
Now, there are roles and positions as a social media coordinator.
Correct.
That role did not exist 10 years ago.
Correct.
Right? So they're starting to see the value and how that relates to marketing and branding.
Yeah.
Whereas before, somebody you weren't hiring from somebody to manage your Facebook page.
Yeah,
you weren't hiring somebody to write your Twitter or your IG accounts, right? That was just like something like, why am I paying you for this?
Yeah. And that's a kid. That's kid stuff.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden they're seeing, like, whoa, they're realizing that, so then you have to make sure that you don't catch on after it's too late.
Correct.
Because then when it's too late,
then
you're extinct.
Yeah, you missed the party. Everybody's on want something new at.
And so you need to really think about, if you're a business right now, you need to think about who your clientele is, how to add value,
where they are,
and where is the economy going. What are some of the things that are being used and will be used?
Yeah. When you say the economy and the market?
The tools that are used to drive the economy.
Okay.
So we talk about Zoom, right, as a video conferencing piece.
Which has been around for a while.
Not that long. I mean,
like 4 years old.
Yeah, that's not that long.
For a business though, that's pretty decent to stay entrenched that long and have market share. As a technology company.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's still, but think about it. It's 4 years old, maybe, and people are just learning about Zoom now.
But that's because of who they were gearing the demographic to wasn't towards the general public.
But,
that was the thing.
But it depends, right? So people use it so you got to think about how you're taking conference calls, right?
People are using Zoom for conference calls for work. That's how I found out about Zoom.
But some people aren't. Some people just have a regular bridge number that they pay for.
Okay.
And you just hit in a dial in a code, boop, 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 and then it's not necessarily Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
But it's understanding what functionality, that kind of goes back to the value of going to conferences. Whereas again, that's why conferences and industry are investments, because if you have to stay relevant on just new things, you have to be on point with what the market is doing, what the market is offering, and then you need to think about, do we have the ability to invest in some of these things? Is this a nice to have or a need to have?
What are our consumers doing? Because I think the consumers also let you know what they're rocking with.
But then also, but but then also so you have to not ride the wave, but you have to sort of be in front of it so you can introduce certain things to your consumers to say, this is coming. You guys, we're trying to help you.
Yeah, utilize
like
that tool.
not get like shocked when this really happens, because now right now people are in a state of shock because there's people that I work with that haven't used Zoom. and I'm serious.
So it's a whole new thing.
And so there are people right now that are scheduling like office meetings, inter-office meetings, who haven't downloaded Zoom and are having they're having issues just downloading the platform onto their computer, right? And so that's shocking themselves, because now you have to figure out what are all the functions with this platform, whereas the companies that have been using it, there's no interruption. They're like, all right, everybody,
you got a Zoom call at 3.
Like, exactly, we're all on Zoom. You all have an account. We know how this goes. No interruptions. But there's certain entities where maybe only 2 people in the office had access to Zoom because they might have been more client facing. But now, you might need a different departments need to have access to it, and there's now a new learning curve. So to me,
some mistakes.
So the answer to me is always being a student of the industry. Always start benchmarking, thinking about. I know nobody likes to spend money because it looks like it's money out of your pocket, but in the end, it's actually future money into your pocket.
Yeah,
that is what investment is. So reinvesting into your company.
I agree with that. So it's a good tidbit for businesses.
Yeah, and then staying on Zoom, keep it professional. Before we go, pro tip.
Oh my God!
Keep it professional.
There will be classes on Zoom etiquette, like how there were classes for email etiquette, and I can't wait to hear about this, because I showed you the video of that Zoom call.
Break it down real quick before we go. So this is a masterclass and a pro tip.
Oh my God!
About working from home, working from home.
Oh man!
And how important it is for you to understand the functionality of the platforms that you're using.
Oh.
There will be a lot of video conferences.
Oh my God!
From this point forward.
Oh Lord!
You shared a post.
So a friend of mine tagged me in a post on Facebook of, I think it was for like a medical. I don't know. I didn't catch the business, and I wasn't really paying attention to that. Dude, what? Like 12 to 15 people on the call.
It looked like the Brady Bunch intro, where you had all those squares.
So people had called in. People had called in to do a video conference for work, and one person ended up going to the bathroom and had the video call on.
Pulled their pants down.
Pulled the pants down. The other dude had a do-rag on, like a pink do-rag on, or something, like just a pink head wrap on his head.
Yep.
One lady was like walking back and forth in the kitchen, and like I don't know what she was doing. There was one lady who had her face stuck, like pissed off, like, yo, look at these people looking stupid on here. And then it was like the 7 or 8 other people who just were doing everything that was not supposed to be doing and looking a hot mess. Like, just like, I rolled out of bed. I probably haven't even taken a shower yet. And I'm on my work conference call looking crazy.
And that's the nightmare. That is what businesses are afraid of.
Yeah.
They're like, now, you wouldn't be doing this if you was here.
Yeah.
Right? So companies are having to weigh the productivity of the people. How do you maintain productivity, or the assumption or the perception of lost productivity of people working home versus working in the office?
Yeah.
Because it's really perception.
It's all perception.
Because people are probably more productive at home, or you don't lose you don't lose as much productivity for people that work at home than coming into the office.
Because everybody really works 3 hours a day.
Right, which presents a whole nother discussion about, really, what does it take? Why do we really need to be
8 hours
in the office and all of that other stuff?
8 hours.
For 8 hours. So a lot of people are flex anyway right now with all of the telecommuting. So it's a new landscape. We're gonna see what this looks like, what the aftermath of this is.
But just have some etiquette.
But yeah, exactly. You gotta have etiquette brothers, and see now, and
oh damn it!
now,
Oh damn it!
now,
Oh damn it!
one of our last episodes.
No.
Now, brother had on a do-rag.
Oh, come on, bro.
You in a professional setting.
Oh.
This goes back to my man with the Scully, everybody. So you got to take off the do-rag on the video conference, bro. Got to do it. You are at work, okay?
It's working hours.
You
are signed in.
You look crazy, okay?
Oh my God. I can't wait to see more of these video conference calls of people acting straight ignorant.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a thing for a while. It's going to, like... I know with the coronavirus, there's gonna be so much content of just funniness from your comedians, but just people doing idiotic, ignorant things within the next couple weeks. Yeah. There's gonna be so many viral moments to make me laugh. I am so prepared and waiting for this.
Yeah, I saw one meme where someone had posted, I'm getting ready for my Monday morning Zoom conference call like this, and then they had similar thing where they had about 6 people on the video conference, but it wasn't people, it was animals. So you had somebody looking at the camera like a dog, a fish, a hamster on one block, and like they all have different faces, and it was like, you know. so it was funny, but yeah, it's there's definitely some jokes to be had and jokes to come, and
enjoy it too. Like, let's just have some fun with it, because we're all gonna be uncomfortable for a little while. So do you think I would think this will give people the opportunity to be more creative, because they're going to be in the confines of their own home, their own space. So. And so definitely put out those creative ideas. I'm here for it. I'm looking for it, because I like checking that temperature, because I think people are going to find a new niche, or you're going to find something that you wouldn't think is normally funny. It's going to be, or who you think wasn't normally funny. It's going to be funny because, you know, even just seeing people doing the TikTok dances, like the families doing the TikTok dances, has been fun. For like, there's people I didn't think would normally do these things.
Yeah, you're creating bonding experiences.
And you do it through social media, which is a cool thing. It's a double-edged sword. Like, I saw Mike Vick dancing with his kids, and I'm going, I would have never thought I saw Mike Vick dancing with his kids.
That's a little different.
Well, no, I'm saying
Mike's retired.
Yeah, but he was still watching him dance with his kids. It was kind of like.
Yeah,
you know, and LeBron James doing with his kids, but everybody's kind of, you know, make the best of it and have fun with it, because
try not to beat your kids, because I'm hearing a little bit of that.
The what I heard is spankings and prayers are back in school.
Yeah,
homeschooling.
Homeschooling. I heard folks say y'all wanted the 90s back.
Yeah,
we got sub $2 gas. And kids is getting their ass whooped.
Yeah.
So here we go. But we'll sign off on that, man. Let's hear. I'm curious to see how people are spending their time during the quarantine, self-isolation, shelter at home.
Yeah. And don't get fat too. Like, yo, get out and run.
There's no excuse. You could go for a walk now.
Yeah,
around
like,
your
you could. Yeah, because I had to do that today, because I was like, yo, my fat ass is gonna be sitting eating all these damn chips.
Yeah,
I had to go run a couple miles. It's easy. Like, just do what you can to stay active.
Do a yoga session on
even if it's 30 minutes a day. Just
plank.
Just 30 minutes a day. Just be active.
So we got to come up with a workout challenge. That's going to come up. Quarantine workout challenge.
I've seen people doing a push-up challenge. I've seen that. I'm glad nobody tagged me. And if you tag me, on F you.
I haven't seen it, but
I've seen it. It's been like, you know,
how many push-ups?
I've seen some do 10. I've seen some do 50.
It's just do as many as you can.
Well, whoever's challenging you is challenging like 10 people to do 10 push-ups, or 50 people to do like whatever they're doing.
Okay.
I'd leave me the hell out of it.
Okay.
Have some decency.
Okay. So right. So and now is a great opportunity to create social groups. Even I know we're supposed to keep social distancing, but I mean, folks can run out to the park now and do some ultimate frisbee. You ain't got to be. I mean, that's something you need some space with. Now, it's gonna be hard to like tag somebody, but
I don't know about that. But okay,
but
I get what you're saying.
But you could run. Like, you can run. I mean, hell, you're not supposed to be here. Okay.
Very true.
So yeah, I'm
Like
curious.
Distance.
I'm curious. That ain't enough. I'm curious.
You was
to see.
coughing earlier.
I wasn't coughing. It was a sneeze, which is actually really how you get it.
Oh shit! I'm screwed.
Unfortunately, and I've self isolated for like, what's today?
17 days.
Not even. So
yeah, it's been like 17 days.
Has it? I got back Wednesday.
It's been a minute.
7. Nah, it's only
Yeah,
been,
fam.
it's been like 11 days.
17.
17. Yeah, right. I got back last Wednesday.
Yeah, okay.
It's Saturday. All right. But yeah, thanks for kicking it with us.
Yeah, you on too.
Peace.